Donald Trump is a fascist. The MAGA movement is built on fascism. Let's not play around with these games, okay? And I'm going to continue to harp on this situation every day if I have to, every week if I have to, until one of three things happens. Either A, someone understands it and it sinks in, and we stop Donald Trump from gaining power because that will be the end of American democracy in this country. B, someone actually kills me if Donald Trump regains power, and you all know what that means for this country. Or C, I disappear. Just simple, plain and simple. But I'm going to continue to talk about this because, quite honestly, the threat to our democracy, to this country, cannot be understated. Now, 9 days ago, the New York Times posted this article on its website, and should show you as it shows me how dangerous this man really is, because it went in detail as to what Donald Trump's words and his intentions, as if he regains power, will be. The New York Times article, Trump's dire words raise new fears about his authoritarian bent. Now I'm going to read you several passages from this article, and it gives you a clear understanding as to how dangerous this man truly is as President of the United States if he ever regains the office. Quoting from the article, Mr. Trump's rise to power was almost immediately accomplished, by debates over whether his ascendancy and that of other leaders around the world with similar political views signaled a revival of fascism. Fascism is generally understood to be an authoritarian, far-right system of government in which hyper-nationalism is a central component. Now, obviously, we have people like Mary Jean Taylor Greene screaming on the top of her lungs that she's a Christian nationalist. So that's where all that's coming from. It often, quoting from the article, it also often features a cult of personality around a strongman leader, i.e. Donald Trump. But here's the thing. Donald Trump is not a strong man. He's a weak man who pretends to be strong. He doesn't project strength. He projects cowardice. But to the laymen out there, the people, the Trumpers out there, he's a strong man who will do whatever it takes to retain power. The justification of violence or retribution against against opponents. Now, obviously, Donald Trump, we have a whole history of this when it comes to Donald Trump. Trump is famously known for saying if you get arrested for beating up a heckler at one of his rallies during the political campaign, he will pay the legal fees of that person who's arrested. This is a guy who incited the January 6th attacks, and not too recently has celebrated the attack on Paul Pelosi, obviously the husband of Nancy Pelosi, the former Speaker of the House. Now, if Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, or George Bush, or any other political figure in this country had done anything that Donald Trump has done, they would have been removed from office in a heartbeat. If it were a Democrat who did this, as I said, mentioned earlier, Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, the right wing would go insane. Make no mistake about that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, going back to the article, and the repeated denigration for the rule of law. The man is facing 91 felony counts, any one of which could disqualify him from being the President of the United States or even putting him in jail. And he has absolutely no respect for the law. During the New York trial, in which he's probably going to pay a very heavy price for for the money, the man has no respect for the judge or the lawyers. In every single one of his criminal trials upcoming, this guy, he insults and threatens judges and prosecutors. If this were anyone else but Donald Trump, he would be in jail for his remarks. Now, all this is coming from Peter Hayes, who is an historian who studied the rise of fascism. Now, past fascist leaders appeal to a sense of victimhood to justify their actions. This is coming from Hayes himself. The idea is we're entitled because we've been victimized, we've been cheated, and we've been robbed, he said. That describes Donald Trump and his screaming about how the election was stolen from him to a T. It describes how many Trumpers feel about what's going on in this country. But here's the thing. They complain about stuff that's beginning to get fixed. Gas prices are starting to plummet, to go down. Inflation is going to a slow crawl. But the real problem is none of this is coming from real concerns as to what's going on in this country. They're coming from the fact that Donald Trump isn't the president of the United States. Something that is so small, so tangential, so unmeaning to the future of this country that all they care about is that one man isn't the president. Now, the victimhood and the victim blaming and everything else, here's the thing. There are problems in this country. Yes, there are. There are things that need to get fixed in this country. Yes, there are. But instead of doing the work and doing anything and whatever needs to be done to fix the problems in this country, the right wing has done absolutely nothing but complain about them. The Trumpers who keep screaming that things are so bad, things are so evil, some things are so dark in this country. We can't afford eggs, we can't afford milk or anything else. What has the Republicans in Congress and in the Senate done to fix those problems? Absolutely nothing. They're all the victims of the evil Joe Biden and his evil agenda to destroy our country. And the real problem with all of this is the simple fact that they have the power to fix it. They won't do it. All they've done for 4 straight years, and especially since they got their hands on the House on the House of Representatives, is find ways to impeach Joe Biden. If they can't get Joe Biden, they can get him through his son, Hunter. That's all their energy is focused on. They don't care about the American people. They care only about how they can help Donald Trump. The victim mentality is a bunch of crap. Everything going wrong in this country, everything that they say is wrong with this country is a bunch of crap, knowing full well that they can fix what's going on in this country if they actually care. That's the one point. That's the one thing about this whole situation. If they really cared about fixing what's wrong in this country, they wouldn't be acting like this. They wouldn't be ignoring the monstrosity that's happening in this country, i.e. the MAGA, i.e. Donald Trump. Now, this is the last passage I'm reading from this article. It's a quote directly from Jennifer Mescala. I'm sorry if I screwed up that name, a professor at Texas A&M University who researched political rhetoric, saying that Mr. Trump has wielded language as a chisel to chip away at democratic norms. Normally, this is quoting her, normally a president would use war rhetoric to prepare a nation for war against other nations. Donald Trump uses war rhetoric domestically, i.e., he's using what he is saying over and over again on Twitter, on X, Twitter, whatever, on Truth Social, his videos, every time he opens his mouth in front of a camera or dials on a cell phone, he uses this language to turn American against American. And he succeeded. He has really succeeded. He has more than succeeded. He's thrived on it. Every time he calls a prosecutor a racist or a judge stupid or insane, all because they're judging against, they're prosecuting or laying judgment against Donald Trump. Every time he goes on one of his rants about how Democrats want this country to fail and how Joe Biden wants this country to be destroyed, every time he uses the language of fascism, direct fascism, and we know exactly who we're talking about, Adolf Hitler. Every time he uses that language, he shows himself to be a person who will rip this country apart. And why? Not because he's trying to save this country or protect this nation, but because he's nothing more than a tin-pot dictator who has an army behind him who is just waiting, just praying to pull the trigger. The MAGA are standing by for that order. Don't think they're not. But it's not a movement to save our nation. It's not a movement to protect America. It's a movement of one person, of one solitary person. And that person is only Donald Trump and no one else. A man who will burn this country to the ground for his own personal power. And again, this isn't me being hyperbole or spreading misinformation about Trump. This is the unabased truth. Donald Trump will destroy this country if he's not reelected. And if that's the case, if it isn't going to be him, one of his followers will do it, or all of his followers will do it. The rhetoric, the threats I've seen online will turn you scared. It's not because Donald Trump is trying to protect our country because he's the strongest, the powerful, the most powerful. He's trying to do it because he cannot handle the fact he lost. He can't handle the fact that Americans, the majority of Americans in this country said no to him. No is a dirty word to Donald Trump. No is a dirty word to the MAGA. They need to understand, all of them need to understand, that fascism will not happen in this country. As long as I have anything to say about that, and I do, and so should you. But don't think that if Donald Trump is reelected, it can't happen. The man has made his intentions 100% clear every time he opens his mouth. He has used the language of Adolf Hitler. If this were Barack Obama using Mussolini or Hitler or Osama bin Laden, the right wing would go insane. Why are they going insane about using the language of Adolf Hitler? They keep using bullshit excuses saying you shouldn't take him literally. You shouldn't take him seriously. This is Trump we're talking about. He just blusters. No! We are going to take him seriously, and we are taking him seriously. He's already made his intentions clear the first time around. You really want to give this man, a man who wants to eradicate vermin, talking about Democrats just because we didn't vote for him. Just because we're not doing the things he wants us to do, that MAGA wants us to do. Saying that immigrants, whether they're illegal or not, are poison to the blood of our country. As Adolf Hitler said about the Jews. No, I will never vote for that shit. I will fight and die to prevent that shit from happening in this country. This country has been through way too much to hand it over to a fascist like Donald John Trump. And yes, he is a fascist. I'm going to continue to call him a fascist. Let consequences be damned. Because quite honestly, if he wins the next election, this country will die. Now, you may not like Joe Biden. You may call him all the worst things in the world. But I don't have to worry about him coming to my house, bringing it into my home, and killing me, all because I didn't vote for him. With Donald Trump and his supporters, the MAGA, I gotta worry 24/7 with those people. Because they made their intentions incredibly known. I'm gonna keep talking about this. And if those people out there who don't like it, who are red hat carrying card members of the Trump army, I got 2 words for you. Fuck you. CTP, you know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.